Welcome back to the deep dive. We're here again, digging into the sources to find those moments, those insights that really make you go, aha. Today, we're taking a bit of a different approach. We're diving deep, really deep, into one woman's incredibly personal story. It's a journey that really paints a vivid picture of how actions and consequences weave together through a life.
That's exactly right. Our mission, if you will, is to try and understand the roots, the causes and effects that shaped her entire path. We'll be looking at this through the lens of karma, not just as a theory, but seeing it play out in her actual life,
Yeah.
from immense struggles to unexpected joys and finding a spiritual connection. It's all based on a really detailed case study, showing how past actions seem to directly link to what she experienced later.
Okay, let's unpack this then. We're talking about one woman's amazing journey. It starts with, well, just extreme poverty in rural Thailand, moves through some serious personal hardship, and then, quite unexpectedly, she finds love of family and this deep spiritual path over in Japan. We're going to trace these kind of surprising karmic threads that run through it all. Hopefully, it offers some really powerful insights, into the human condition and maybe how this cause and effect thing works. So her story kicks off in Yasothon, Thailand, born into what the sources call Junkarata level poverty. Now, Junkarata, for anyone who doesn't know, basically signifies the absolute bottom. Crushing poverty, just a total lack of resources. She lived in a tiny grass-roofed hut.
And this difficulty started, well, almost from birth. A really standout detail from her early years is that she didn't actually walk until she was 3 years old. Instead, the description is really vivid. She moved by dragging her plow, essentially shuffling along on her bottom. At the same time, her father's carrying his actual plow. And it creates this really poignant image of her earliest physical challenges.
Wow, that image is powerful. And her daily grind started incredibly young. I mean, picture this. She's waking up at 4 or 5 a.m., has to ride a buffalo out to the fields for her parents, then she rushes off to school, only to come home to this endless cycle of chores that went on until dark every single day. That was her childhood.
It really was just about survival and resilience, wasn't it?
Mhm.
The sources even mentioned that sometimes if her father was drunk and couldn't work, she, as a child, would be the one taking the buffalo out to plow the fields herself. And think about this detail. She had only one school uniform, just one. She had to be incredibly careful taking it off right after school to keep it clean, washing it only once a week so it would last.
Then comes this really pivotal and honestly heartbreaking moment. Her education just stops. After third grade, her parents simply couldn't afford it anymore. It really felt like that cycle of poverty was just impossible to escape. This constant struggle, it all kind of came to a head when she was 16. This was back in 1980. She's out planting rice. The soil is incredibly hard. Her hands are aching. And she just feels this huge wave of resentment, this frustration with her life. But that feeling wasn't the end. It actually sparked this massive decision. She was going to leave, head for Bangkok.
And that took incredible guts, right? She left with almost nothing, just 150 baht, barely enough for the bus. The source calls her a wandering farm girl at that point, just setting off into the unknown, leaving everything behind.
Such a huge shift. So in Bangkok, she finds work as a housemaid, did that for about 5 years. Then she transitioned to a beauty salon, learned hairdressing. That helped her earn a bit more. And despite having so little herself, she was incredibly dutiful, sent money home to her parents every single month, without fail.
Yeah, but what's really striking and quite tragic is what happened with that money back home. Her father, unfortunately, kept using the money she sent for alcohol, which just made his health problems worse and, led to him working even less. It's a tough example of how sometimes good intentions can meet with difficult patterns in others.
Then, around age 25, her life takes another turn. She gets into a relationship with a veterinary student. They live together, but it wasn't like a formal, registered marriage.
And sadly, this relationship also ended in pain. Her partner moved away for work, and they just sort of drifted apart. Then came this really crushing moment. She went to visit him unexpectedly and found another woman's clothes at his place, just devastating. And then, soon after, she finds out she's 1 month pregnant. When she told the father, his response was just, "I'm not ready." Cold.
Oh, wow. So what position does that leave her in? She's 27, incredibly distressed, feeling totally alone. She ends up making that extremely difficult decision to have an abortion. Clearly a choice made under immense pressure, with very little support around her. A couple of years later, around 29 or 30, another big shift. She decides to move to Japan. The main driver was money, the potential to earn more. Her father was really sick by then, cirrhosis, paralysis, all from the alcohol, and his treatment was costing a fortune.
But getting to Japan wasn't free, was it? A broker paid her way, but it meant taking on a huge debt, somewhere between 600,000 and 700,000 baht. That's what, like 17 to 20,000 US dollars? A massive amount she had to work off. It was a heavy weight, but she felt she had to do it for her family.
And landing in Japan wasn't easy either. She started in a Thai restaurant, worked there for maybe a month, but she quickly realized, the pay wasn't enough to tackle that huge debt quickly. So her employer suggested she try working in a snack bar, which in Japan often means serving drinks, chatting with guests, maybe drinking with them. Not ideal, but potentially better pay.
And right there, in that difficult situation, during that brief stint at the snack bar, maybe only a month or so, something totally unexpected happens. This is where she meets her current husband, a Japanese man. He was apparently really drawn to her, saw her situation, and just wanted to help. He declared his love for her and then did something truly astonishing. He paid off her entire debt, gave her 1 million baht, actually, even more than she owed. Just an incredible act of kindness and support.
She described that moment, didn't she, as escaping from a living hell. And she's very open, saying her husband isn't, quote, handsome, but he's incredibly kind. He still sends money to her family in Thailand, helped her build a new house there. She calls him the best thing in her life. Now they have 2 sons, a warm, happy family. It's such a stark contrast to everything she went through before. And her journey didn't just stop at finding personal happiness. It also led her down this profound spiritual path. Her introduction to the Tokyo Meditation Center sounds almost accidental. A Thai friend just invited her along to make merit with a visiting Buddhist monk.
But her reaction wasn't casual at all. She was apparently excited and thrilled to do good deeds. And on her very first visit to the center, she just exclaimed, "Oh wow, I've found the triple gem." Which, for listeners, the triple gem Buddha, Dharma, Sangha is fundamental in Buddhism. It signifies finding the core truth, the teachings, the community. It was an instant, deep connection for her.
And she stuck with it, right? Now she's a really dedicated follower, listens eagerly to Dharma talks from the center. Some of them was really late, like 2 a.m., she says. Because she finds so much insight and guidance there, it seems like it's become the anchor in her life now, helping her make sense of everything.
And that dedication, that merit-making, seems to have offered some incredible protection. The sources mention a really recent event just this past April 22nd to 24th. She'd just been part of a big merit-making event at the center, feeling really joyful. And then, on the 24th, she's in this severe car accident. Her van gets hit at an intersection, no traffic lights. It spins 3 or 4 times. Front window, driver's side window shattered, the bag end totally crumpled. Sounds horrific.
Absolutely terrifying. But this is where it gets incredible, right? What happened to her? Apparently, as the car was spinning, her first thought was of Luang Pu, and grandma revered teachers in her tradition and all the good deeds, the merits she'd done. And despite the car being basically totaled, she walked away with just minor scrapes. Superficial bleeding. They checked her out at the hospital and sent her right home. It's just unbelievable.
The police at the scene were apparently stunned. They told her she was incredibly lucky. Said that people in accidents that bad often lose limbs or worse, given how damaged the van was. Her walking away almost unharmed felt like a miracle. A real testament, perhaps, to that protective power of her accumulated merits.
This whole story just raises so many questions, especially around the karma aspect. Let's try to unpack some of that. Starting way back, that unique challenge she had, not walking until she was 3. What's the karmic explanation given for something so specific?
Well, this is where you see that idea of karma sometimes mirroring past actions quite directly. The explanation given is that in a past life, when she was young, she used to enjoy tying ropes to puppies' hind legs. Just for mischief, apparently, making them walk funny. She'd always let them go afterward, so it wasn't seen as deeply malicious, more like light karma. But that act of hindering movement manifested in her current life as her own struggle to walk for those first 3 years. It suggests karma can be incredibly precise, reflecting the nature of the act.
That precision is really something. Okay, moving from that physical challenge to her broader circumstances, the extreme poverty, the lack of education, how does the karmic view explain those starting conditions?
That's traced back to 2 main things from a past life. Stinginess, basically, greed, and also arrogance. In that past life, she was apparently born into a high-status family, but looked down on people who were less fortunate. She didn't share her wealth or help others get ahead. So that combination resulted in her being born into poverty and missing out on education in this life. It's a lesson maybe about compassion and generosity being investments in our own future, too.
Then there's that incredibly difficult period leading to the abortion at 27, such a painful event. Is there a karmic perspective offered on why she faced that specific situation?
According to the teachings in the sources, yes. It links back to a past life where she was actually a promiscuous man. This man apparently got several women pregnant, and those situations led to abortions. So, that past karma of causing that loss and distress is said to have manifested in her current life by putting her in that position herself, facing that same difficult choice. It highlights how profound the consequences can be, even lifetimes later.
And what about that brief, difficult time working in the snack bar in Japan? She called it a living hell.
That's explained as residual karma, a leftover effect. It supposedly stems from another past life where she was a man who enjoyed womanizing and frequenting bars like that. The fact that it only lasted a month suggests it was just the tail end of that karma working itself out, not a major, long-lasting consequence. It shows how even smaller karmic debts seem to need settling, but can sometimes pass quickly.
It is amazing how quickly things turned around after that, though. Meeting her husband seems like such a pivotal moment. How did she attract such kindness and support after so much hardship?
The explanation is a combination of positive factors, really, a convergence of merits. Firstly, merit she'd made with the Sangha, the monastic community. Secondly, merits from helping her relatives in the past. And importantly, shared merits with her current husband from previous lives. The sources actually state they were husband and wife in a past life and made merits together back then, according to their ability. So that deep connection, built on shared good deeds, brought them back together.
That's fascinating. And her in-laws, too, they had friction initially, but found peace through her influence. What's the karmic take on their initial discord and her role in resolving it?
Their initial clashes were apparently down to vithi, differing opinions or viewpoints, rather than deep-seated negativity. After they passed away, her father-in-law, helped by the merits she encouraged him to make with the Sangha, became a deity in a heavenly realm, Tavatimsa, specifically. And her mother-in-law became a local earth deity, thanks to merits from a Buddha image dedication she initiated for her. Both received the merits she sent, improving their situations after death. And significantly, both had also been her relatives in past lives, which explains that underlying kindness they showed her.
Now, turning to her father's story again, that decade of suffering with cirrhosis and paralysis, his specific death, it's so tragic. What karmic factors led to such prolonged suffering?
It's attributed to a heavy combination of karmas, primarily the karma from excessive alcohol consumption in this life and past ones, and combined with the karma of killing animals for food, particularly as snacks alongside the alcohol, again, across lifetimes. This accumulation of negative actions, especially taking life in intoxication, resulted in that severe illness and the specific way he died, a very direct and harsh consequence.
And his destination after death, you mentioned she dedicated merits, but could he receive them?
This is quite sobering. The sources state he went immediately to the fifth great hell upon death. He's described as undergoing immense suffering there, forced to drink boiling liquid by hell wardens. In that state, he's completely unable to receive any merits. However, and this is important, the merits she dedicated are preserved. They're waiting for him in a place called Yamaloka, a kind of intermediate realm. He'll eventually get there after his time in the Great Hell is finished, estimated at something like 6,000 trillion human years, plus however long it takes to reach Yamaloka. So the merits aren't lost, but he's got a very long wait before he can benefit.
6,000 trillion years. It's almost impossible to comprehend. What does that tell us about the weight of those actions?
It really underscores the immense gravity of negative karma, especially killing and self-destructive habits like alcoholism. The duration of suffering seems directly tied to the weight of the deeds. But it also shows the enduring power of her dedication. Those merits will eventually help him. Even across vast stretches of time in different realms, her compassion reaches forward.
Okay, let's pivot back to her and that incredible car accident survival. The car was a wreck, she was fine. How is that explained karmically?
It's a two-part explanation. The accident happening in the first place, that potential for violent harm, is linked to the karma of killing animals, like pigs, in a past life. That created the vulnerability. However, her survival with minimal injury is attributed to her strong accumulation of positive merits, both past and present. Things like offering food and drinks to monks, helping family, releasing animals for rescue. These merits acted like a shield, mitigating the negative karma's effect. They also brought immediate help, police, ambulance, friends rushing to her side. Good karma counteracting bad.
She also has these two close friends, Kalyana Mitra, spiritual friends who want to lead merit activities with her, but they often clash due to differing opinions. What's the karmic root of that friction?
The main reason given is actually insufficient meditation practice among the three of them. When the mind isn't consistently refined through meditation, it stays crude, as the source puts it. This leads to rough thoughts, ego clashes, and conflict. So the solution offered is simple: more medication. It calms and refines the mind, clustering understanding and reducing ego. There's also a mention of a tendency for verbal arguments in past lives carrying over.
And she mentioned something personal, too, that she feels she speaks unclearly, making it hard to inspire trust when inviting people to make merit. Is there a karmic reason for that?
Yes, apparently so. In a past life, she used to mock or make fun of friends who didn't speak clearly. That negative verbal karma, ridiculing others' speech, has come back in this life as her own challenge with clear communication, a direct consequence affecting her ability to lead now.
She also has this strong aspiration to build a temple in her home province, a huge undertaking. Is that supported by karma? How could it happen?
Building a temple requires immense teamwork and dedication, absolutely. The sources suggest there are people with sufficient merit in her province who could help. The path forward involves her own consistent meditation and making heartfelt prayers or resolutions. This practice is believed to help draw those necessary people together, align their minds, and make the project successful. It's about activating collective potential through spiritual practice.
Okay, one last big picture question she raised, something affecting so many in Japan. Those devastating earthquakes. What kind of karma leads people to be born in or drawn to places prone to such mass catastrophes?
This is seen as a manifestation of collective karma. It's the accumulation of individual karmas, particularly the karma of killing animals or humans committed by many different people across time. This shared negative karma draws them together in the same place at the same time, making them vulnerable to experiencing a shared disaster like an earthquake. The severity of what each individual experiences, injury, death, survival, then depends on the intensity of their personal karma within that collective event. It's complex, an intersection of individual and group consequences. And just quickly, her advising monk, he seems quite wise. What's his background, according to the source? He has quite a remarkable history, it seems. In a previous Buddha era, long ago, he was a soldier who followed his king into becoming a monk. He dedicated himself fully to spreading the teachings, achieved a very high level of meditation or reaching the inner Buddha image, and attained rebirth in Dusitpuri, a special high celestial realm. He's apparently chosen to come back down to the human realm twice now, specifically to continue making merits and guiding others. So he brings a lot of accumulated wisdom and spiritual power to his role.
So, wrapping this all up, what does this incredibly detailed story mean for you listening right now? I think it really highlights just how interconnected everything might be, every action, every consequence, rippling through a life. Understanding karma, at least as presented here, offers one way, maybe a challenging one, but one way to try and make sense of events that can seem so random, the hardships, the lucky breaks, all of it.
It really does. And it powerfully emphasizes the potential impact of consistent good actions, merit-making, as it's called here, but also self-reflection and trying to cultivate that inner peace through things like meditation. These aren't just presented as nice ideas, but as real forces that can potentially shape your destiny, impact others, maybe even heal family dynamics, or help achieve big goals like building a temple. It suggests we have more agency than we might think.
Absolutely. Her journey, starting from such a difficult place, finding love, finding the spiritual path, it shows how even the toughest experiences can potentially be understood, navigated, maybe even transformed when viewed through this kind of karmic lens. It's a testament to resilience and maybe the power of seeking deeper understanding.
So maybe a final thought to leave you with. Consider how even things we might think of as small residual actions from our past could be subtly shaping our present. And then flip that around. How could consciously, consistently cultivating good actions, merit, and inner peace potentially transform not just your own life, but ripple outwards to benefit those around you? What one small, consistent action could you maybe start today, planting a seed for a more harmonious future for yourself and maybe even your wider community? Something to think about.